joining us today on this episode of HeartStrong Faith. I'm your host, Rebecca Carrell, and I'm really, really excited to introduce you to our guest. If you don't already know her, if you haven't already picked up a copy of her book or heard her speak at MOPS or another engagement, we're talking to Sarah Beth Marr, but you go by Sarah.
Yes.
And
Hi.
this is fun because we were talking off camera a few minutes ago that Sarah and I actually have connections prior to this. We've met at some other things, so we've already been having fun. So now we're just inviting you into our conversation. The first thing I want to tell you about Sarah is that she is just 2 years removed from being a professional ballerina. So
Yes.
Tell us how you got into that. Tell us a little bit about your ballet journey.
Sure. Right out of high school, I decided to, instead of going to college, I decided to audition for ballet companies and try that route. And I ended up getting a job with Ballet Austin, which is in
Wow.
Austin, Texas, and then danced there for 5 years and then moved back to the DFW area and danced for what was formerly called Ballet Arlington. And finished out my career there. And so I danced for about 17 years professionally and just loved it. It's a fun, hard, but fun job. So I'm really thankful for that experience.
And so 2 years ago, you hung up your slippers.
Yeah.
And how has that transition been for you? Because I would imagine
Yeah.
for if you do anything for 17 years, that does become at least a part of your identity.
Absolutely. It was difficult for sure. It was a time of really having to press into the Lord because I was surprised by the kind of wobbliness that I felt in my heart as I had to let that go. And it was a lot of asking the Lord, is it time to let go or do I keep going? And often I really wanted this clear outline and a clear answer from him. And sometimes I would just get little hints here and there. And also my really sweet directors really made it difficult to hang my shoes up because they would do anything to kind of help me and to keep going. I have 3 sons, and so I was performing and having babies all mixed together. And so, but that pull to be there for my boys was gnawing at me. And so while it was a difficult transition, it also was a sweet time, and I just kind of got to this place of I really want the Lord to lead now, and lead me into what He wants me to do. So, and that's really around the time when the writing and speaking and things came into fruition. So, but it was a lot of seeking and a lot of just trying to rest in the Lord. So it was definitely a big identity shift.
Yeah, I can see how that would be difficult. Tell us a little bit about your boys and your family.
I would love to. Okay, I would love to. Well, I'm married to my high school sweetheart.
Oh, okay. She's beautiful. She's a former ballerina, and she married her high school sweetheart. You can groan, but that is a beautiful story. That is a beautiful story.
Thank you. His name is Brian, and we've been married for about 15 years. And then we have 3 sons, which we think is funny that the ballerina had 3 sons.
Yeah.
It's just funny what God does.
No gratuitous tutu shots for you. I'm so sorry.
So they are 12, 9, and 7. So Camp, Cooper, and Colt.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what are they into?
Well, the oldest, Camp, loves football and baseball, and he enjoys school too, really. And then the Cooper, my middle son, loves guitar. That's his thing.
So you at least have one in the arts,
Yes,
a little
one
bit.
in
Okay.
the arts.
Okay,
He
that's
loves
good.
it. And then, and he's also interested in writing. So he, loves to write fiction, and just little stories. So I'm really proud of him for that. And then Colt, the little one, he loves basketball and gymnastics are kind of his favorite. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And so you transitioned from professional dancer for 17 years, and now she has a book. It is called Dreaming with God, A Bold Call to Step Out and Follow God's Lead. And I love that because it is always stepping out. Stepping out in faith is always uncomfortable, or I just question whether or not it's of God. Mm-hmm. And so tell me a little bit how the genesis for this book began. When did you really start to write? You already said that you started to write in the interim, right when you left professional dancing. But at what point did you start to think, I have something to say. I have a message that I really want to share.
Right. Well, it's interesting because when I entered the professional ballet world at 18, I had been a believer in Jesus for most of my life. But that was the first time that I felt very alone, in my faith. And so during those early years in the professional dance world, I was really searching to just go deeper with the Lord. And I would actually go to Christian bookstores and look for books to help me connect my life in the ballet studio to my faith. And at the time, I never thought I want to be a writer, or I just, that wasn't on my radar, but I was journaling, just daily. Journaling was my way of connecting with God. And so I'm journaling through these dancing years and subconsciously looking for a book that would relate my two worlds. And of course, I found other wonderful books. I found, all these. It's why I love this genre, Christian living or for women. And a lot of these authors felt like mentors to me. And during those years, a lot of these books pointed me to the Lord and just helped me kind of find my footing, in a sense, in those years. And so I had that was going on. I'm looking for the book, I'm reading these books, journaling. And then it wasn't until my third son was born, which was like almost 15 years later from those years. Actually, I talk about this in the book, but our ballet company in Arlington was folding. And so it was devastating to me. And so I had my third son and this hard thing kind of moving on from dancing. And I just started really seeking the Lord. What am I supposed to do? What do you want me to do from here? And it was just these little nudges. And I started actually first writing devotionals for dancers, for ballet dancers.
Right.
I would just write them in my journal. I didn't show anybody. It was just kind of for my heart. And then I remember one day taking them to the computer and typing them just as a PDF and I don't know, just making stacks of them. I didn't ever think of doing anything with them. And then it was in 2013 that I expressed to my husband, what if I thought about, writing books and specifically at that time to help ballet dancers. And then one thing led to another and I started a blog and then later I branched out, and it wasn't just for dancers. But this particular topic of dreaming with God, it was what I was going through all these years of, I think as a believer, I didn't know if God even wanted me to dream in a sense. I think when we're little girls, we have all these big dreams and the sky's the limit. And then we become adults. And I think sometimes we suppress our dreaming hearts. And also, I felt like if I did have a dream in my heart, the world seemed to say, you just got to chase it, make it happen, orchestrate, you can guide your path. And then I felt like Scripture echoed, trust God, be still, wait, pray. And so I felt like there were two different messages, and I really wanted to know what the Lord had to say about dreaming. And so that's how the particular topic of the book came up. And I just wanted to help other women kind of dream again or dream for the first time. So
tell us something that you have learned about God through this process of praying, dreaming, trusting, and waiting.
Just that he's so sweet. I think we were talking about that earlier. Just he's so sweet, and he really does have sweet, good plans for each of us. I think we've heard it, a million times, that God, created us and created us for specific purposes. But again, I think as grown-ups, I think sometimes we stop believing it. And so I just feel like he showed me through this process that he's faithful, that he really does have sweet plans for us, and also that dreaming with him really just becomes an opportunity to grow closer to him.
Now, in this book, and I would encourage you to get it, Dreaming with God, A Bold Call to Step Out and Follow God's Lead, there is a chapter called seeking God when your dreams don't come true. So why don't you talk a little bit about what that looks like?
Sure. That chapter was really important to me because it's clear that not every dream we dream comes true.
Right.
I know for a lot of women, they may have even been really sideswept by life, and thinking, what's the point of dreaming? And so, and for me, I definitely had times where doors were just shut, and doors were closed, or a dream that I thought God wanted from me wasn't coming to fruition. So I just, in that chapter, wanted to acknowledge that not every dream comes true, and that also it's okay to feel disappointed. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to grieve that dream, that loss of a dream. And part of dreaming with God and letting Him lead our lives is sometimes saying goodbye to dreams or letting go of an idea that we just thought, yes, that was my thing that I was supposed to do, and that He steers and He's faithful through all of that.
I love that, because there are a lot of messages that say if you dream it, you can achieve it. If you say it, you can claim it. If you name it, you can claim it. Believe it and achieve it. And sometimes that is true. And then sometimes, God's way is different. Now, when you were dancing, a long time ago, did you ever imagine that the Lord would have you here?
No. I always, in my heart, I wanted to, in a way, I remember thinking I wanted to somehow not have a ministry or even be in ministry, but I wanted to do something like that. I wanted to be able to help women grow closer to the Lord in the ways that so many women speakers or writers had done for me. And so I knew that was there, but I could never articulate it.
Sure.
It wasn't on my radar. And again, it was this, my plan was I thought I was going to dance and then teach ballet for the rest of my life, which would have been great. But I always felt like there was something else going on. So it took lots of years to get to this place, but I'm so grateful because I get to talk about Jesus to women, and
right.
It's so fun.
Right. No better job. No better job. And one of the things that I love about Sarah's story is that it is just another example of how God uses everything. He uses everything for the plans that He has for you. And one of the things I like to remind you of as often as I can is that if you have breath, you have purpose. And so Sarah is encouraging us to dream with God, a bold call to step out and follow God's lead. Where can we find you online?
I write at sarahbethmarr.com.
Sarah with an H.
Yes.
Beth, and then Marr is MARR.com.
Yes. And then, of course, I'm on Facebook with Sarah Beth Marr, and then Instagram, Sarah Beth Marr. So just search Sarah Beth Marr and you'll find me.
Thank you for joining us
You're
today.
so welcome. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us today.